Welcome to this executive briefing. I'm so glad you're joining me for this explainer, because we're diving into what is, without a doubt, the single biggest wealth creation opportunity of the next decade. Think about it. What if the absolute greatest economic catalyst of our era isn't real estate, it isn't commodities, and it isn't even traditional tech? What if the next trillion-dollar giant is being built right now, literally at this very second, and most people don't even fully grasp the architecture behind it? Just a few years ago, right? Artificial intelligence was something we only really saw in sci-fi movies. But today, it's writing code, it's diagnosing diseases, and it's fundamentally rewiring the global workforce. So let's jump right in and unpack the true, massive scale of the AI economy. Now, here is the multi-trillion-dollar question. As business leaders, investors, and strategists, you aren't just sitting back watching this revolution happen. You're actively trying to position yourselves right in the middle of it. But who actually captures the real value here? Is it going to be the brilliant engineers and companies building the AI models? Is it the agile businesses using AI to absolutely crush their competition? Or will it be the early investors who spot the infrastructure winners before the rest of the market even catches on? Stick with me, because today we're going to break down exactly how this unprecedented wealth is being distributed. To navigate all of this, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the macro context, move into market dynamics, do a quick risk assessment, look at architecting lasting value, and wrap up with the $100 trillion horizon. Let's get to it. Part 1. The macro context, the biggest tech shift in history. To really wrap our heads around the scale of AI, we've got to stop looking at it as just another flashy tech trend. We have to recognize it for what it is, a historic foundational shift. Think back to when electricity was commercialized in the 1880s. People didn't instantly realize how profoundly it would change the world. It wasn't just a new product, it was a completely new way to power civilization itself. Then came the mass production of automobiles in the 1900s, completely restructuring our cities. Fast forward to the 1990s, the internet radically rewired human communication. Every single one of these innovations created massive new industries and turned totally unknown companies into global titans. Well, AI, hitting its major inflection point right now in the 2020s, follows this exact same historic lineage. In fact, many experts argue it's going to be bigger than all of its predecessors combined. But why will it be bigger? Well, because AI isn't just one isolated industry. It's actually becoming the foundational layer of every industry. Healthcare, banking, education, transportation, manufacturing, entertainment, literally everything is being transformed all at once. AI is the new electricity. And history shows us that whenever a technology permeates every single sector of the macroeconomy like this, enormous, unprecedented wealth is created. But, and this is a huge but for your executive mindset, just because a technology is revolutionary doesn't mean every single company involved is going to win.
Which brings us to part 2, market dynamics, the AI gold rush.
We really need to look at how wealth is actually being generated right now in what is probably best described as an AI gold rush. Let's look back at the actual California gold rush for a second. Millions rushed out west, laser-focused on finding gold, right? The miners. But the reality? Many of the largest, most enduring fortunes were actually made by the companies selling the picks, the shovels, and the tents, the tool sellers. We are seeing the exact same dynamic play out today in the AI economy. A massive amount of attention is on the application developers, the software and apps we all interact with on our phones and laptops. But the real wealth, right at this moment, is flowing straight to the infrastructure builders. These guys are the modern-day picks and shovels, the core AI infrastructure. We're talking about the companies designing the super advanced semiconductor chips, the massive data centers required to process these insanely complex algorithms, the sprawling cloud systems, and the foundational software platforms. Wall Street is paying incredibly close attention to this specific space. This is exactly where billions of dollars of institutional investment are pouring in right now, simply because these are the components that make the entire ecosystem possible in the first place. Because the absolute crucial reality is this: without them, the AI revolution simply cannot function. Period. They are the indispensable foundation. You could have the most brilliant world-changing AI software idea ever conceived, but if you don't have the advanced chips and data centers to actually run the models, your software is totally useless. That absolute, undeniable necessity is exactly what gives infrastructure providers their massive current valuations. Let's move on to part 3. Risk assessment. Are we looking at a revolution, or are we just inflating a giant bubble? Let's pull up another vital historical lesson: the dot-com era. Because, let's face it, every major innovation creates a wave of intense excitement. Sometimes it's perfectly justified, other times it becomes incredibly dangerous. Think back to the late 90s. The expectation was that simply being an internet company guaranteed success, right? You slapped a .com on your name and boom, your valuation skyrocketed. But the reality was brutal. While the internet absolutely did change the world, most of those early companies, they didn't survive. The winners became the absolute giants that rule our economy today, for sure, but the losers disappeared completely. So just because AI is changing the world, that doesn't mean every single AI startup out there is a sound investment.
As leaders, you've got to be hyper-aware of these market frictions and risks. First off, the competition in the AI space is unimaginably intense right now. On top of that, the technology is changing so rapidly that today's absolute market leader could easily be leapfrogged by some unknown competitor tomorrow. But honestly, the biggest risk of all is allowing short-term hype to completely obscure your view of the long-term trends. Smart investors and strategic executives know they have to look past the flashy headlines and focus purely on the underlying business fundamentals.
Next up, part 4, architecting lasting value. Who could actually dominate?
So once the hype finally settles and the bubble, if there is one, pops, who are the architects that will survive and dominate? Now, obviously, nobody has a crystal ball, but history gives us a very clear blueprint for creating trillion-dollar giants. And guess what? It's not just about having the coolest tech. It's about executing on fundamental business steps. The companies that are going to dominate the future AI economy are the ones that use AI to solve major global problems. They'll be the platforms that structurally increase productivity for other businesses. They're going to significantly reduce operational costs, drastically improve efficiency across supply chains, and ultimately, they will make people's lives tangibly easier. These are the uncompromising traits of businesses that generate not just a quick bump in short-term revenue, but lasting, multi-generational value.
Let's ground this in some specific, very real future realities that are rapidly approaching. We're looking at a near future where AI systems facilitate much earlier and far more accurate disease detection, literally saving lives and reducing healthcare burdens. We're looking at businesses that become dramatically more productive because their software can actually anticipate their needs. We're talking about vastly safer, completely autonomous transportation networks, education that is hyper-personalized to the exact learning style of every single student, and of course, the total automation of routine, repetitive work, which frees up our human capital for actual creative problem solving. This is not science fiction anymore, folks. These are the specific, tangible applications that will build the trillion-dollar companies of tomorrow.
Finally, part 5, the horizon. The $100 trillion economy.
If we successfully transition through this infrastructure phase, weather all those market risks we talked about, and actually architect lasting value, the macroeconomic payoff is staggering. $100 trillion. Just let that massive number sink in for a second. To put that into perspective, some of the most conservative analysts globally project that AI could add tens of trillions of dollars to the global economy over the coming decades, with high-end estimates reaching this mind-boggling $100 trillion mark. This is the value of entirely new industries being born, legacy industries becoming exponentially more efficient, and global productivity absolutely soaring to levels we previously thought were impossible.
And because of that massive number, the stakes are phenomenally high. Governments, multinational corporations, institutional investors, they are all locked in an all-out sprint to position themselves for what's coming next. Geopolitical strategies are quite literally being rewritten around AI dominance. Corporate budgets are being entirely reallocated just to secure computing power and top talent. The race is accelerating, billions are being deployed, and major breakthroughs are happening on a monthly basis. The competition for this unprecedented wealth has truthfully just begun.
So, I'll leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Will artificial intelligence systematically create the absolute greatest economic boom of our entire lifetime, cementing that $100 trillion economy? Or are our expectations currently growing faster than the actual technological reality? As an executive, an investor, or a builder, your outlook on this very question is going to dictate your entire strategy for the next decade. Somewhere out there in this rapidly shifting landscape, the next trillion-dollar company is already emerging. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious, stay incredibly focused, and keep looking ahead.